So by now, I'm assuming everybody has heard the news about that bombshell Rolling Stone report that revealed that at least 2 people who were involved in the planning of the events of January 6th have now confirmed that not only were they in contact with multiple different Republican representatives, they were also in direct contact with the White House itself, including Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows. These individuals claim that these lawmakers, along with the White House, basically gave them what I guess you would call permission to do whatever they needed to do, and that Donald Trump was on board to march with them to the Capitol. And of course, that report had actually come out a couple weeks ago, but luckily Trump's people talked him back off that ledge. That would have been horrendous had that actually happened. The Republican members of Congress who aided and abetted these individuals on January 6th include Republican Representatives Paul Gosar, Lauren Boebert, Mo Brooks, Madison Cawthorn, Andy Biggs, and Louis Gohmert. They were on calls, actually dozens of calls. Katrina Pearson, former Trump aide, was on some of those calls. She acted as what they call the liaison between these organizers and the White House itself, and of course, direct contact with Mark Meadows. And we're also finding out that Representative Gosar may have, according to these individuals, offered them blanket pardons for whatever the hell was going to happen that day. What this tells us is everything. This explains, one, why Donald Trump is fighting so desperately to keep his records from reaching that committee, which, by the way, Biden, get on that. You need to release those documents today. To hell with the legal consequences of it. They're not going to impeach you for that. Do it now. Do it right the F now. I'm shocked you haven't already done it. Who cares, right? Listen, we are talking about lawless individuals at this point. This information has been requested by the committee. You know, the records of that day from the White House itself. We now have smoking gun witness testimony, essentially, to the Rolling Stone magazine that the White House was involved. To be honest, that is a bit shocking for me too, because I had said, obviously Trump didn't plan any of this, so what is he trying to hide? Okay, apparently I was wrong. And I am 100% willing to admit that, yeah, I was definitely wrong about that. Because I do now believe fully that the White House and everyone there was involved with the planning of what happened that day. There is no denying that, of course, assuming these sources can be believed. The sources need to be hauled in front of that January 6th committee this week. This is not the kind of information that you sit on. This is not the kind of testimony that you just push off and say, we'll get to you in December. No. Listen, we're heading into holiday time right now, and you know what that means for the news industry? It means dead time. This is where stories go to die in the next coming weeks. Once we get past, Halloween and we get a couple week or two into November, news dies. Trust me. I've been doing this for so long, it becomes a lot harder to find stories because fewer and fewer people are paying attention. So if we want this story to hit, we want it to pop, we do it now, and that's honestly probably why Rolling Stone released it right now. The news cycle is about to go dead because people are going to stop paying attention. They're going to focus on family gatherings and holiday parties and all kinds of fun stuff they didn't get to do last year. We need these individuals brought before the committee this week. Joe Biden needs to say to hell with the fact that Trump is trying to hold this up in the court. Here's the documents you requested. I'll deal with the legal ramifications of that. Or, if need be, maybe they get leaked, right? That's always a possibility. We have far more questions at this point than we have answers. And each and every one of these Republican lawmakers, of course, needs to be expelled from Congress. Not reprimanded, not censured, expelled and forbidden from ever holding a public office again in their lives, which the U.S. Constitution actually would call for that if these individuals did in fact aid and abet the insurrection, which I personally believe that they did. I mentioned earlier they were aiding and abetting. That's how I personally feel right now. Based on this new information, it's difficult to not feel that way. Now, Maybe the sources are lying. Maybe they made it all up. If so, bring them before the committee. Let's get all this sorted out. Let's give these Republicans an opportunity to also go in front of the committee and explain why all of this is total BS nonsense. And let's get the records from the White House. Let's get the records from these members of Congress and see if their denials match up to reality. And if they do, no harm, no foul. And if they don't, they need to be expelled immediately, which of course we know is never going to happen. But the public needs to know what in the hell is going on, because this report paints a pretty crystal clear picture that these members of Congress, that the White House itself, were all actively involved in this insurrection.